Some amount of suffering in your life has a purpose. It wakes you up. If you were born happy, content, with all your desires already fulfilled, what would there be to transform? What would there be to grow into and expand into and to wake you up? So this some amount of suffering is what initially gets your attention. It's what makes you start asking bigger questions and brings you to videos like this one. But the truth is, suffering is just a wake-up call. It is not meant to be a perpetual experience in your life. So I used to say all the time in my intros, I'm here to empower you and inspire you because you're not meant to settle and you're not meant to suffer. So I might bring that intro back because I think a lot of you resonated with that. And, it is a core part of my message on this channel. And the liberation from suffering is the truth about who you actually are, the truth about who you are as a creator, the God of your reality. And to quote the Bible, you shall know the truth, and the truth shall set you free. So the truth is what we need when we are suffering and when we are learning to manifest. We need the truth. We don't need another technique. So today in this video, I'm dismantling the myth about perpetual suffering, and I'm going to show you the exact truth that ends suffering and the truth that sets you free and the truth that you need to manifest everything that you desire in your reality. If you're new here, hello, I am your Muse Traci. On this channel, I help you unlock the power you already have but can't access yet. I help you break through where years of trying has failed, and I help you go from intellectually knowing the law to permanently embodying it. If all that sounds good to you, you're definitely welcome to stick around and subscribe to my channel and learn what's really required to take your power back and to end your own suffering. So, yes, suffering wakes you up. That is its job, its function. It's the contrast that helps you realize that you actually want something different. To know what you do want, you have to know and experience what you don't want. Very well-known and common teaching from Abraham Hicks. They are maybe not the one who invented it, but they say that a lot, right? So you have to know what you don't want to know what you do want. That's what is referred to as contrast. And sometimes we get stuck in contrast and we get stuck in the trap of believing in the contrast, and we get stuck in the trap of perpetuating the contrast. So, and again, this type of stuckness, this type of discomfort that comes from that stuckness is what leads you to searching and learning and asking deeper questions. So I can acknowledge without some amount of suffering, there wouldn't really be this impulse to transform. Like I said in the beginning, if you had all of your desires just handed to you on a silver platter and you knew how to access all your power, you didn't have any limiting beliefs, you wouldn't really have anything to expand, to shed, to, something to reach higher for. Maybe you would, but that's not usually how it happens. Usually we require some amount of suffering in order to get us to reach a little bit higher. If we're too comfortable, we kind of just stay there. We just hang around there. But once you've suffered enough, enough to push you to wake up, then you are meant to walk through the door of truth, I'll call it, and to not keep suffering. And again, the mistake that I see a lot of people making is they start to make suffering like part of their identity. They start to make it like their lifestyle and like this badge that they wear around. And it's now their identity, that they get less than and they have trauma and they have they get mistreated and they have all these things that just keep happening to them. And, they start to wear it as an identity. So we don't want to do that, right? We want to yeah, kind of have some contrast, know what we want, know what we don't want. And then, really, there's no problem there. The suffering comes when we know exactly what we want, but feel like we can't have it. That's what suffering is. Okay. So, suffering is having enough contrast in your life to very clearly, with precision, know exactly what you want. And while you simultaneously know exactly what you want, you don't think you're ever going to get it. That is literally what my definition of suffering is. So, everything in your reality is being created by your consciousness. Every situation, every person, every dynamic, everything that you experience is first held in consciousness. Okay? So, why then would we ever get stuck in knowing exactly what we want and not thinking that we get to have it? Again, this is my definition of suffering. Having a desire, something you know you want, and simultaneously not believing that you get to have it. But if everything is coming from your consciousness, why would you not believe that you get to have it? Well, I have news. It's not your techniques. It's not that you just need to learn one more technique. You need to learn how to script better, or you need to learn how to visualize better, or maybe you need to revise everything that happened in your life so far. It's none of that. And this is what a lot of the manifesting community wants you to believe. I don't know that because I'm not actually consuming that content anymore. I know that because of my clients that come to me, what they're struggling with and dealing with, and what they think they have to do to manifest better, manifest their desires, why they're stuck. These are the things that they come to me and tell me. So I'm assuming that's what's being taught out there, because that's what almost all of the clients that are coming to me are coming to me with. They think, Traci, I just need a technique. And it's like, no, you're brilliant at techniques. You don't need to learn revision better. You don't need to script better. You don't need to visualize better. They're all brilliant at techniques. There might be a small upgrade here or there, a small shift, but techniques are not their problem. And I guarantee you, techniques are also not your problem, right? So it's not about the techniques. Okay, well then what is it about? It is about your belief system under all the techniques. It's about who you think you are in your reality and what you think reality is. And I've been talking about this a lot in my latest videos, that we come into learning about manifesting. I don't care when you learned about manifesting, even if you learned about it, let's say you were 15, okay? It's quite young. I don't know anybody that learns about it that early, but I'm sure it happens. But even at 15, at a very young age, you had a belief system that was already there before you learned about manifesting. Now, if you learned about it much later, like most people, like myself, then you definitely have a fully formed belief system there. And that belief system most likely doesn't say your consciousness creates your reality. Everything you see around you was first held in your consciousness. And what is consciousness? Consciousness isn't just your conscious thoughts. Consciousness is everything you're conscious of being. That includes your belief system, your deeply held belief systems, your imprinting, the conditioning, and the, things that you are taught in society. It's the deeply held beliefs about what you're supposed to do, what you're supposed to believe, what you're supposed to think, how you're supposed to, conduct your life, All of these things are making up your consciousness. It's not just your conscious thoughts, okay? So your consciousness, the totality of all of those things I just described, is what creates your reality. It's not just your conscious thoughts. You don't have conscious thoughts about everything that's showing up in your reality. Again, very common misunderstanding. And especially those unwanted things that show up in your reality. You don't usually think consciously about the unwanted things. You may have had, doubts and fears and insecure thoughts, but you didn't consciously choose to focus on those things. Those things came up because it's part of the programming, part of the conditioning. Okay. So if again, I'm going to keep asking this question. If your consciousness is the creator, the source of everything you see around you, why would you be suffering? Why would you be knowing exactly what you want from living in the contrast and simultaneously not being able to achieve what you want, to live the life that you want? And it comes down to your belief system. As quoted in the Bible, I'm going to quote the Bible again and again in this video. You shall know the truth, and the truth shall set you free. So what is this truth? Well, the main truth is that you're the creator of your reality, but you can literally apply this to any subject, any concept, any idea. If the concept or the idea is setting you free, it's truth. If the concept or the idea is restricting you and causing suffering, like, I want this thing, but I don't get to have it, that's not truth because it's not setting you free. So you shall know the truth, and the truth shall set you free. And you can apply this to any subject, any circumstance, any doubt. You have a doubt in your mind. Oh, maybe I won't have the money that I need to pay for bills or pay for what I want. Well, is that setting you free? I don't think it's setting you free at all. So that must not be the truth. You see how you can apply this? Apply it to a specific person. That person that I love so dearly does not want to be with me. So is that idea, that concept, that assumption setting you free? I don't think it's setting you free. I think it's creating suffering inside of you because, again, you want something you don't believe you get to have. Do you guys see how this works? So this is the truth that sets you free. It's not a technique. It's the recognition of who you are. It's the changing of your core belief system of who you are and what your reality is, right? You don't need a technique. And just keep your belief system. Don't worry, your belief system doesn't affect you at all. Your belief system, oh no, we don't need to look at that and think about that and worry about that and work on that. Just do your affirmations. Here's 5 affirmations, and you just do these all the time, all day, every day. No. You can get some results that way, and I'm going to talk about that in a moment. I'll get back to that. But, and I'm not denying that you can get results that way. You can get results that way, but the results that you're going to get are likely going to be shallow. They're likely going to be temporary, meaning not long lasting or sustainable. And they're likely going to be not really fulfilling, honestly. So yeah, you can get results that way. And then you'll get things to come in and then they'll go right back out. They'll come in and out as fast as, they'll go back out as fast as they came in. So I'm not denying that you can get some results, but I want more for you guys because this is exactly what I went through in my journey. Okay. And so I want you all to learn from my mistakes. I want you to learn from, the errors of my ways. I spent many years doing it that way and I had to learn the hard way. And, let's say you're in that place where you've learned about manifesting, you've done techniques and you've seen some results and you notice those results come in and then they go back out and then they're not fulfilling and they're not long lasting and they're temporary and you keep suffering, basically. You're going to be suffering in that loop and cycle and pattern. So if this is what's been happening for you, you don't need another technique. You need to look at your programming, your belief system, right? Because your belief system, why would your belief system matter? Well, that goes back to who you are and what your reality is. your consciousness, specifically your consciousness creates your reality. Your reality. I didn't say the whole of reality, but your reality. Your consciousness creates your reality. So if you want your reality to conform more to your desires, maybe we look at the belief system, since your belief system is what's generating the reality, right? So, and, this isn't the most glamorous and, quick fix type of work, but it is long lasting, it's sustainable, it will be fulfilling, and it will be, eventually it will be less work. The other way is like perpetual suffering, perpetual always pushing and trying to, overcome the lingering programming back there. Just do it once. Just rewrite the programming once. And then you don't have to keep battling with your programming. You are the creator of your reality. You are the operant power. Your consciousness is creating all that is around you. And when you stop searching outside of yourself and recognize the truth of who you are, you stop suffering perpetually, right? The suffering is just a wake-up call, but once you wake up and remember who you are, there's not really a point of suffering anymore. You get to end that. And I get it. Listen, sometimes it is easier to do, than to change who you're being. It is. I'm not going to argue with that. Techniques give you something to do and you feel productive, and it's easy. It's not that hard to do techniques. It's really not. But transforming who you're being, changing who you are, changing the operating system, changing your blueprint that you've operated from years, that's not easy. It's not. Again, you do the work to do it once and you're done. Okay? So it is not the easy way, but it is the better way in the long run, not even just in the long run. It's the better way to get more fully and completely what it is that you desire to experience in your reality. And maybe you've noticed that techniques actually amplify whatever you actually believe about yourself. So if you believe you're the creator, your techniques become powerful, a natural extension of this power. But if you believe that you're separate and small, techniques actually become the evidence of your inability to manifest because you don't actually believe you have the ability to manifest. So the two most important things to change in your belief system are, first, your belief about who you are. You change from believing that you're separate, small, waiting, begging, to being the source, being the creator, being the operant power. And the second thing that absolutely has to change is your concept of self, the version of you who's living in your day-to-day life. Right? Do you feel worthy? Do you feel valuable? Do you feel loved? Do you believe that, what do you believe about yourself? I can't stress the importance of this enough. But both of these have to change at the level of your belief system, not just be affirmed over and, shooed away and run from, basically. You can't run from your belief system. So this is the work. This is what creates your freedom and your liberation and ends suffering in your life. And this is exactly what I do with my clients. We don't add more techniques to their toolkit. They're just like you, they're brilliant at techniques, right? You are a master at techniques. You've got them all locked in. You know exactly how to use them. So we don't need that. But we do need to rebuild their self-concept and their belief system, their blueprint, their operating system for their reality so that it matches more of what they actually want to experience. And when those transform, the suffering ends. The suffering ends. It doesn't matter how long it's been going on for. And not because the circumstances change, they're not like, oh, my reality looks so much better, I'm going to stop suffering now. No, they change on the inside, the blueprint, all the software running their consciousness, their experience, and of course, their outer reality starts to conform and reflect all of those changes back to them. So let me say a little bit about, well, the question of like, oh yeah, Traci, but I have manifested things that, using techniques, and I didn't change my belief system. I didn't really, believe that I was the operant power. So this works sometimes. Really, it works when you're not that focused on it, when you're not really working to, let's say, change your whole life, change the blueprint of how your reality operates. You just want to manifest like a coffee or, even a car. It can be big things, but things that you don't really care that much about. Okay. And so you're not really focused on your ability to manifest or your belief in manifesting, right? But when you get a little bit further along the journey and you might want to start to change more areas of your life, more important areas of your life, and especially love relationships, specific people, people get really focused on this and they try to do the techniques that they did, again, with like a car or a coffee or something that they had success with that they really weren't focused on. They didn't have to focus on it at all. They just had a desire and didn't resist it. And whoop, there it is in their reality. And they're trying to do that same thing with things that they kind of care more about and they're tripping up. And then, especially those people, again, they're probably being taught this as well. I'm just guessing. They get it from somewhere. They think, well, this worked when I did techniques before, so I need to just do techniques harder to get this other thing. And it's not that at all. It's that you probably have more resistance to this thing that you care about more. And you probably, that your belief system is coming into play with this bigger manifestation. What do I mean by this? I mean, your belief system about you being the operant power is going to have to be intact for this thing that you care more about, because you probably have more eyes on your 3D reality, seeing if there's evidence of it yet, watching to see if it showed up yet, noticing that it hasn't shown up yet. And when you notice all of these things, if your belief system is still the old one, life just happens and I have to adjust to it and I don't have any power and I'm just a bystander and victim of this reality, right? If that's your belief system, then you're going to struggle. You're going to think, what am I doing wrong? I'm doing the techniques wrong. Why isn't this working? I must have something. I'm missing something. The only thing you're missing is that you didn't ever work on your belief system. You didn't ever work to truly believe, to truly choose and decide and commit to knowing. You have to commit to know this before you have evidence that you are the creator of your reality. You didn't do that piece. And so reality isn't going to shift the way it did back there with the coffee or the car, whatever, the boat that just, oh, there it is, so easy, because you have more eyes on it not being there. And you can have eyes on it not being there as long as you have the belief that 3D reality doesn't have the creative power. That's just the reflection of my past assumptions. So it can look like nothing is there. It can look like I don't have it, but I am the cause. And so as the cause, you keep going back to your assumption and you don't need the 3D reality to prove that you are the creator, because you already chose and decided that you are. And you already have that integrated in your belief system, and you're not waiting for the evidence to, okay, now I can believe that I'm the creator. This is the biggest pitfall that I see people struggling with, and that my work is designed to help them overcome. And you can overcome it. You have to be willing to choose and decide and be brave. Okay. This is not I'll believe it when I see it type of situation. It does not work that way. This is a blind faith. I've decided this is how it is. I've chosen that this is how reality works for me. I know the truth. I've heard it from enough people, and this is what I'm choosing to live by now. That's the mindset that it takes to actually use this information and be able to operate from it, rather than just know it as some like glitzy, glammy type of like information that really leads to more suffering because you should be the conscious creator and the, operant power. But why am I struggling to create my reality? Okay. Again, that's more suffering for you. If you want my help integrating this type of knowledge, this is what I help my clients do. This is what you need to do. You cannot skip this part. Again, I know it's easy to do and it's harder to be. It's harder to change who you be because you've been being something else, but we can do hard things, and it's only hard in the beginning. It's only hard at the first tries. Once you get the hang of it, just like anything else, you're developing a skill. This is not different. Let's say you just pick up a new sport, you just decide to do it, and you're not that good at it at first. That's just how it works. Welcome to being human and developing skills. Manifesting is the same thing. You have the endurance. You have to have the mindset that I'm not that good at this right now, but I'm going to keep doing it because everything I keep doing gets easier. Thank you all so much for watching this video. If you want my help, there's a link down in the description below. There's also a link where you can book a free call with me to see if we're a good fit to work together. I appreciate you being here. Leave me a comment down below. I'll see you in the next video.